Hello everyone, my name's Shazfat, and welcome to a new episode of Battlerite Stadium. The patch notes for version 0.9, which is coming out tomorrow, have been released today. The downtime for the patch notes will begin at 6 a.m. PST, that's 3 p.m. CET, and 9 a.m. EST. The downtime is expected to last for 1 hour. Now, let's get started! The most important content added to the game is obviously the newest champion, who unfortunately is not the Stormlord like I predicted, but instead is Esmo the Mischievous. After the patch notes overview, I will go over the champion preview and talk about Esmo's abilities, who seems like a really interesting champion. Now, there were two other additions to Battlerite. The first is the extended champion progress. You can now level up champions to a maximum of 20. Additional rewards will be provided, including titles and brand new legendary chests. These chests contain at least one legendary item, and it has not been announced if they will be available for purchase. The last feature added allows you to agree to play with your current team members after a game. I really like this. If this allows you to add people, then I will love this. It's always annoying when you have to go back to the Odium to try to find someone you enjoyed playing with. Now it's time to get into the champion updates. Bako's only change is affixed to his bulwark, which makes it so certain abilities will be reflected as normal. A bug for Croak's sludge spit has been fixed so it can now be dispelled. Camouflage's movement speed was increased from 10% to 20%, and Deceit's bonus was textually changed from 15% to 30%. It states in the patch notes that a bug was causing him to have the 30% movement increase anyway, so this won't change the balancing. Frogleap's damage has been increased by 2 points, not too big of a change since his space isn't used to deal damage anyway. Toxin Blade says that it now applies to all Blade Flurry strikes regardless of other buffs. I'm not quite sure what this means, if it's a buff or a bug fix, but anyway, it's been added. As for his battle rights, Cut to the Chase now increases movement speed to 35%. Noxious Lunge now will always inflict a 1.2 second root and reapplies Toxin if it's already active. Twin Strikes now adds damage to all Blade Flurry strikes regardless of other buffs, and Camouflage Blade Flurry strikes no longer consume both Twin Strikes. Croak definitely has the biggest changes, and with those out of the way, we will be getting into Freya. Charged Lightning's damage has been reduced from 12 to 8, while Torrent's shield has been increased from 10 to 12. Jumong has definitely received the nerf he deserves. Now, Jumong himself wasn't broken, but his R sure as hell was. Rain of Arrows damage has been reduced to 35 from 40, and the slow has been brought down to 30% from 40%. Dragon Slayer will no longer pull enemies when they are hit while using an uninterruptible dash, and the stun it causes can now be dispelled. Lucy has received a nerf, but personally I don't think it's what the people wanted from it. Toxic Dart's damage over time has been reduced from 12 to 9, a huge change, and Deadly Injection's range has been reduced by 1.5. Petrifying Bolt's cast time has been increased from 0.3 to 0.5. Now, personally, I don't think the problem with Lucy was coming from her EX abilities. It was coming from two main factors: her shield and her fear. That fear is some real BS. I mean, if you get feared during late game, you're not coming back from that fog alive. Older's Reversal Battlerite has been fixed, so it no longer only heals damage done to him and will heal allies normally. Paloma has received a slight buff, other side now healing you and nearby allies for 12 health when the effect ends. Now, you might be wondering, isn't there a Battlerite for that? Well, you are right. The Battlerite Joyful Spirits has been removed and replaced with Soul Theft. Soul Theft causes moving through an enemy during other side to deal 8 damage and heal you for 8 health. This is pretty strong. This means running into just one enemy will heal you for 20 health, not to mention hitting multiple enemies can really change a battle. Rook, in addition to a couple of bug fixes, has had his Crushing Blow count as a melee attack. Up until now it has been ignoring your shields, which has been very frustrating. Last but not least, Taya's Zephyr now causes her to become unhittable. Now that's all the champions, buffs, and fixes, and now it's time to go on to the general updates. I'm not going to go through all of these, but here are some of the most important ones. The middle orb will no longer sometimes be invisible, which I think we all know can be annoying. Also, Yeeha's buff is removed after the player dismounts. In addition, Stunlock Studios wrote an On the Horizon update, writing in a couple new features for the next major update. The biggest and most important is a change to the ranking system. It looks like our first season will be starting soon, so everyone get ready for that. They also listed that they might be doing a soft ranking reset. I'm personally in support of this, but that's not all. We will indeed be getting winter-themed content. Perhaps we will receive the glorious Freya Bell weapons people have been asking for, and personally, I would like to see an older Santa skin, as he is my main. They also mention additional Battlerite tree updates and reworks, which I'm really interested in learning about. I'm hoping that with the new ranking system and Battlerite reworks, they will tell us about it a bit in advance, as this is some pretty major stuff. That's all for the patch notes. Now it's time to get into the new champion. Now, from what I've seen, his basic attack seems to be fireballs fired at very fast speeds. Throughout the video does show him stopping and drawing some kind of energy source from his book, and then a small glittering animation similar to that of Croak and Jade's. So I think we can assume it will have a charge system. It looks to be about 5 charges. How much damage this will be able to deal, we don't know. Next up is shown his space, or at least what could be his space. It seems to be just a quick dash that deals some damage. Now what's interesting about this is that he can use it twice in a row. Whether this is a recast or a charge base, we don't know, but I'm going to assume that it's charge based. Now there are 2 amazing things about this ability. The first is that you can use it to pass through walls, and the second is that it appears to recharge Esmo's primary fire. Now this looks like his right click. It's a laser beam. Not much is revealed about this ability in the video, especially because the only use of it is shown from a really weird camera angle. But it does appear to go through enemies, meaning it might be similar to Sirius's ult, hopefully not as strong though. Another possibility is that it's his EX ability for his primary fire. Now, I'm not quite sure what Esmo is doing in this scene. I've been looking over it, and it seems to be some form of small AoE that deals damage, but you might notice that small chain animation that plays. I'm not quite sure what it is. What's important to note, however, is that this ability is not stopped by walls, and you can hit enemies while unable to see them with this. This ability is what I'm going to assume his R, possibly. It seems to be similar to Palma's R, only it creates a book that fires at enemies when you fire. The aiming of the book seems to be based on Esmo's, not in the same direction, but aimed so that the attacks will intersect at the maximum range, creating an angle rather than 2 parallel lines. Finally, we have his ultimate, which took me a while to try to interpret. Now initially when I saw this, it seemed to be just an AoE damage dealer, but this definitely has one additional effect. The enemy Jade is being pulled toward the center. I do want to point out, however, that the Jade isn't moving in this, so it's possible the ult stops the enemy's movement. One thing I'm interested in knowing is what escapes can get you out of this. Obviously something like Sirius's space would be an instant getaway, but what about Croak's space or Z? Now this character looks pretty fun and exciting to play, but I do have one complaint. The champion seems to be just a little bit too much like other champions. His primary fire is very similar to Jade's, his space is like Croak's, he has a laser like Sirius, and his turret is pretty much just like Palma's pet. What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below and I will see you guys in the next video.